Hello, everyone, and we are live. We should be live. Hopefully, no technical issue today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Welcome back to the deck. We're happy to finally be back. We hope you can all hear us well. We hope we have no issues today. But if there's any problem, as usual, let us know in the chat, and we'll try to fix it as much as we can and as quickly as possible. So let's just get straight into it with our guest today. So my first guest today is somebody you might have heard or seen before if you've been watching the deck regularly. Ernest, how are you doing? Welcome back to the deck.
Hello everyone. It is I, Ernest. Yes, I'm back again. Yes, I'm doing well. Very good. Very excited to be here today to talk a little bit about PvP, Death Tides.
Cool. Thanks for being there again. So yeah, like you said, we have a lot of things to discuss about the PvP and the game in general. So we'll be answering the questions in a few minutes. But before we do that, I also want to introduce another regular on the live show is Samuel. Samuel, welcome back.
Hello, it's great to be back. I think I missed the last deck, so it's finally good to be back again to share with everyone what we have been working on and what's coming up soon.
Yeah, and for the full disclosure, Samuel was sick until yesterday, so thank you for recovering fast and being back with us.
Thanks.
All right. So the big topic of the day is obviously the release of Death Tides last week. We know a lot of the community has a lot of questions about it, and I believe both of you are both experts on the topic. So is there, before we start answering questions, is there anything you want to say about the release of Death Tides, about Death Tides in general? Like, how do you feel? And like, yeah, how do you feel about it?
Ooh, Death Tides. We have been cooking this for quite a while. It's one of the things that I think our community has been asking for. They've been very excited for. So in the dev team, it's something that we have been working on for quite an extended amount of time. And we're quite excited that it's right now out in beta form for everybody to try it out, give their comments, share, and we're really excited that people are now sharing their sentiment, what are builds that they're looking, there are videos being developed by our community, there are tools being developed by our community, and some of the tools we've tried ourselves. I love you, Heinz. Your tool is great. Yeah. So these are all things that we have been waiting to unplug and to show everyone at the dawn of year 2 in when we showcase our roadmap for Skull and Bones. So I hope you guys are excited. I hope it's been meaningful for you guys. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the things that we're trying to do in the short term and then in the medium term as well.
Yep. I think a dedicated PvP mode has been requested by the community for a very long time. Actually, when we first launched Skull and Bones, there was a lot of community requests like, hey, can we have like just a mode where I can fight against other players? And so we kind of clobbered together the opt-in PvP flag, which was a very quick solution to give players an opportunity to experience PvP in the Indian Ocean. But given the different parameters of the Indian Ocean, it was really difficult to kind of capture the essence of PvP. So we started working on this new dedicated mode called Death Tides, which now has a variety of maps and a couple of game options as well. Having it in a more controlled area like this gives us more opportunity to tune things a little bit more finely, and also gives players also a fresh experience for fighting other players in Skull and Bones. So hopefully we'll be able to to continue growing this PvP mode together with players. And it's just a beginning. It's not perfect, but we are quite excited to be able to continue expanding upon it.
Yes, and I think on that last point is something that I really want to insist on is that we, like you said, the team worked very hard on this on the Death Tide PvP game mode for a long time, but we see it as a first step. Like now, the step is to allow as many people to play as possible, and your feedback will really help us to decide where to go forward with that PvP mode. So obviously, we know there's a lot of things we need to tweak already, and there's been a lot of feedback on Reddit, on Discord, and we've been listening to insiders quite a lot as well about the feedback and the things we need to improve on. But there's literally nothing we can't do with this game mode. So let us know what you want to see in the future. New types of game mode, new ships, new loadouts, new whatever. I think your feedback is going to be very interesting moving forward. So quite excited about where we go.
Yep.
All right. So just before we jump into the questions once again, maybe for those who are in the chat who are might not be familiar with what Death Tide is, can any of you actually explain what Death Tide is in very briefly?
Just very briefly, Death Tides is, as I mentioned, it was a dedicated PvP mode whereby you can queue for matches in the main menu or through the in-game NPC itself. And it's a 6v6 mode. There are some maps that are 3v3, but primarily it's an opportunity for players to be able to fight against each other. You can bring your own ships. You can pick a preset ship as well. Especially if you're new to the game, and that gives you an opportunity to taste what naval combat against other captains is about. There are two modes. First one is Fleet Fire, which allows you to pit yourself against enemies in a just pure combat setting, whereby you fight to get 15 kills for your team. And we have the separate game mode, which is Tidebreaker, whereby it's kind of like a hard point game mode, whereby you need to capture 3 points in order to win. So you fight against other players within a set area, and you try and hold your ground as much as possible. So with Death Tides itself, it gives an opportunity for you to try out different builds, try out different strategies, even teaming up with a group of 3 to queue together. And it's a nice competitive mode for players who want to just get some blood out of their enemies.
Cool. All right, I can see Ernest is getting ready. So what I'm going to suggest is while Ernest gets to show us a bit of his PvP skills.
Good grief, my PvP sucks. But okay, yes, let's go.
And in the meantime, Sam, we can you and I talk a little bit and answer a few of the questions we've been collecting from the community in the last couple of weeks. So the first question for you is, what is is there any reason for veteran players who've been playing Skull and Bones since launch to keep on grinding in the PvP mode?
I think for veteran players, well, it's something that veteran players have been asking for, and we don't want to limit PvP just in Indian Ocean. We have Cutthroat Cargo, we have the hostile takeovers, but this gives additional layer of complexity and theory crafting for veteran players to kind of mix and match the different loadouts that they have, try and see what's the best strategy. Do you want a healer together with DPS? How many DPS ships do you want? How many healers do you want? Are there any support playstyles? But for veteran players itself, let's say if we talk about rewards, these are rewards. The PvP rewards are rewards that you can also get in the Indian Ocean. So there's nothing unique in terms of rewards. But when you progress through the later stages of the reward track, you do have certain materials and items like ascended weapons. You have kits, you have pieces of aid that help you in your PvE journey as well. So what we want is to kind of build a parity of reward versus your time. Where spending your time in PvP would also grant you progression in PvE. So that way you don't feel like, you know, you're losing out on getting your manufactories, getting your pieces of aid if you were to play PvP. And so you have rewards from that range from infamy to your smuggler pass progress as well. So it gives players a good break. If you're a bit tired of PvE, you can swap back to PvP, and then you can swap back to PvE again. So it gives that kind of freshness, and also gives you keeps your progression going.
Yeah, and I guess like we said at the beginning, we also hope to add new things to the game mode in the future. So for veteran players in particular, if there's anything they would like to see us add to the game mode, don't hesitate to share feedback. That could basically define what we decide to focus on next, right?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Next question. Is there any plans to have any unique rewards for this game mode? And if so, would they be purely cosmetic or PvP exclusive weapons, armor, furniture, or anything that can be used in PvE as well?
So from early feedback that we gathered from internal and both a bit of external testing as well, we figured that we didn't want to make unique rewards for PvP. Reason being is that not all players are PvP players, right? There'll be players that come in, try Death Tides 1 or 2 times, and maybe that's not for them, right? And there will also be players that come in and try PvP, and this is something that they really enjoy. But we don't want to create the feeling of being left out if you don't play PvP. So there aren't specific unique rewards for this mode. We want to just create a parity between PvP and PvE. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next question. Will there be any sort of grand prize that teams could work towards? Like a tournament, championship style game?
Not specifically any grand prizes that the teams can work towards, given that it's like it's more of a PvP match. We currently don't have a tournament or championship style system, but if that's something that players really enjoy and that's something that is a highly requested feature, then we'll definitely take that into consideration and we'll try and work towards something that players will enjoy.
Cool. Will you introduce leaderboards to Death Tides, and do you already have an idea of what form they will take? Will it be one leaderboard and maybe divided into roles, or?
I think it's the same thing. Regarding any sort of feature improvements to Death Tides, given that it's currently still a beta, and we are still collecting feedback, and we are trying to ascertain what players really want for Death Tides. Like, say, between a leaderboard or a championship style system, which would you prefer? And that is where we can invest the time and resources to ensure that we can support what the community wants. So I think similar answer to the request for tournament or championship style. Tell us what you think, and we'll see what we can do to make it happen.
Cool. So I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat as well, see if there's additional questions. Somebody was asking what's NS build, but I don't know if he remembers.
Oh no, I was just playing the presets. Yeah.
Do you remember which preset?
I was playing the Garuda, the Toxic Sniper, and I was also playing the Battle Junk.
So the Marksman, is it?
Yep.
And the other one, I don't know what it's called. I think I have images of it. Yeah, this one. This one, right? So actually, since we're talking about presets, do you want to talk about presets? Like, Ernest, I know you're an expert about the different builds, so can you tell us a bit more about all these presets?
So, each preset is actually formed into a particular role that we like to see players try out. Okay, there are, for instance, my favorite is actually Paladin. Right, I prefer to play healer builds, and the reason why I love to play healer builds is because that is I love to deny kills on other players. So I personally love the Paladin. And then the other one that I like that I love to play is also the Toxic Sniper. And now, yes, this is a little bit contentious because these are the two builds that are we've seen quite a lot of players, we've seen quite a lot of play styles go straight to these two builds because they seem to be the only viable builds. And so I'm quite glad to announce that we're actually monitoring a lot of these, we're collecting a lot of data. In our last run up towards the release of PvP, we actually collected quite a bit of data, and we're using a lot of this data to actually inform the decisions that we're about to go forward with, especially when it comes to the preset balancing. Okay, so anyway, just to go back to the questions, there are 6 presets that are in the game right now. There's the Battle Junk, there's the Garuda, there's the Brigantine, I believe there's the Sambuk as a pyro build. And what we want to do is we want to try to make sure that the players are split a little bit more evenly across all these presets that we have created. And we're actually looking at the data. We're actually looking at the data from Bring Your Own Ship. That's the one where you get to assign your own ship to the Death Tides fleet. And we're also looking at the presets, and we're asking ourselves how we want to balance some of these loadouts as well. You can bring 5 of your custom ships in, right? Up to 5 of your custom ships in. And the beauty of it all is that when you bring your 5 custom ships in, if you brought something that's like Kuvrin 1, it will be automatically upgraded to the max level. And we call this the fair play system. So actually what we're trying to do is that we're trying to just bump up the base stats of these ships. Of course, there's a conversation about Ascension, how the mods come into play, how the mods actually swing the tide of the battle. And today we understand that mods are actually doing quite significant amount more damage than we would like versus between the bring your own ship and your presets. So we're looking at some of these and we're asking ourselves how we're going to address some of the balance changes. There's quite a lot of things for us to look at. There is balance parity of ships. There's parity of loadout, so armor, furniture, even weapons as well. And also now there's also parity of mods. So we released PvP in a season where Item Ascension also came out, and that has had its run. We've collected quite a bit of data, and now we're going back to reviewing some of these balance changes that we need to adjust as well.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Anders. I also want to add one thing about this, because you talk about a lot about data, and I know for the whole team it's very important to look at how players behave in the game and which ship is more powerful based on data. I also want to highlight that we are paying very close attention to feedback, right? So when it comes to feedback, there's different sources that we have. We have the first signal we already get from the community is coming from our insiders. So there's a lot of feedback we get from insiders who usually help us identify which are the things that we need to pay close attention to. So to some extent, a lot of things that the community is discovering since the release of Death Tides has been flagged to us in the past by our insiders, and that's why we were able to make sure we have the data tracking in place and to be able to monitor which ships are performing more than what we would have liked. And that's how it helps us to react a little bit faster than what it would have. I think if we were to wait for everything to happen after the launch, it would probably delay everything by at least a couple of weeks, if not a month, right?
Correct.
So if you are really into helping us adjust the balancing for PvP or help us improve features coming to the game in the future, being in Death Tides or in the main game, join the Insider program is really the best way for us to get an early idea of what players want and how to adjust things in the future. Sorry, that was a small pitch for the Insider program.
We are usually in the depths of the Insider program. We're looking at all the comments that are there, and a lot of it is very true statements. So they're very, very valid statements as well. And we're quite careful not to just dismiss some of these opinions. Actually, we treat these opinions as or not opinions. This feedback very, very critically as well. And so what we like to do is we like to take this feedback and then we try to justify them together with the data. It makes things a lot clearer, a lot easier for us to move forward. So if the data sings the same song as the insider feedback, or is even in the Reddit as the community feedback, these are the things we use to influence our decision making as we move forward with balance.
Yes. So is it fine if I announce now that we're working on a big balancing patch?
Oh, yes. Yes. We are working on a balancing patch, and that balancing patch is coming soon.
Okay, I'm going to let you talk about it more if you feel like it. I also want to, because obviously we read feedback from all sources, right? From insiders, from Discord, from Reddit, from social media. One thing to keep in mind as well when it comes to balancing is that we're also very aware that changes we do to the balancing in general will not affect only PvP. So the balancing, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Ernest, because you're the expert.
Yep.
But the balancing changes we're doing are not just based on PvP data or based on PvP feedback. It's based on overall community feedback that we've been gathering for a long time. And the balancing changes we're doing are targeted to improve balancing over the entire game and not just PvP, but also PvE.
Correct. Okay, so thank you for putting us on this track. Okay, let me just start by sharing a few pillars of the PvP design. First of all, one of the things that we really wanted to adhere to is that PvP reflects the balance of PvE. So Indian Ocean and the Death Tides, whether you're in Mokiti Falls or whether you're in Brimstone, Sanctuary or Sunken Ruins, the balance should feel similar. Not exactly the same, but similar, right? And we also wanted your PvE progression to be able to be brought back into PvP. That was something a really strong signal. I think when we were running two tests ago, that players wanted to bring their ships from the Indian Ocean back into the PvP world. Okay, so that with these two pillars, we understood that immediately that the balance, the furniture, the ships, the weapons, the armor, they all had to have very similar vibes and feels about it. So that's our starting point. Now, because of that, we understand that Skull and Bones, at least in the Indian Ocean, things are balanced very differently. Your healer could heal so much compared to PvP, where in PvP today, a single heal from let's just say a brigade bug from the bug, right? From the bug and the brick could out heal almost the entire DPS of a single player. So what are we going to do in this space, right? So we've created certain rules that apply only to PvP. And one of them that is coming soon is that in PvP, healing will be reduced. Your healer will still heal quite significantly, but the immediate healing will be reduced. Maybe about 10 to 20% less than what you experience in the Indian Ocean. So immediately, you won't play this game right now where the Paladin, my favorite build, it will be out-healing the entire DPS of, let's just say, a Garuda, for instance. So that's something that's coming immediately. Other things that we are going to look at are certain weapons. Weapons that are immediately outperforming all the other weapons. And this is being driven by data. We're looking at certain things like pick rate. And we are looking at certain things like win rate. Two weapons immediately stand out. These are things like the long gun, especially the toxic long gun, the poison long gun, the Lapicus 3. I know everybody loves those. And then another thing that immediately stands out is something like the darts. The darts is like a one-shot noob tube that everybody uses very often. Okay, so these are some of the things that you can look forward to. They are coming soon. Another one that is very hotly talked about in the chat right now is Thorn Sails and Shell Shock. So we took a softer approach when it came down to status effects. Things like Shell Shock disables your weapons, you cannot retaliate, that's kind of frustrating. Thorn Sails, you cannot move, and then a mortar lands on you, that's also very frustrating. And so immediately, one of the things that we're going to do a separation for is that all status effects in PvP will take a longer time to charge. So you don't get charged the first time. It will take a longer time to get charged the first time. We introduced something closer towards the end of when we were about to release PvP, was also diminishing returns. So diminishing returns means that after you've charged the status effect for the first time, for instance, after I've charged Thorn Sails on you for the first time, it will take longer to charge the second Thorn Sails. But then the truth is, after you get Thorn Sails once, you're dead. So we are trying to put in a little bit more countermeasures to slow down the status effects being built up on the players as well. So these are special rules that will be applied only for PvP. Another thing I think people are quite excited about and have been commenting quite a bit, giving us feedback both inside the program and also in the Reddit, is something that is about TTK. So today, the TTK is a little bit on the fast end. Players are dying quite quickly, under about 20 seconds. Sometimes even less than 20 seconds, especially when we're talking about the poison long guns. So we're looking to increase some of these, some of the TTK. And for those of you who don't know, our PvP has already some of these special rules already applied. For instance, things like long guns, bombards, mortars, all the weapons across the board have slightly faster reload speeds, faster than the ones you would see in the Indian Ocean. So we're looking to dial back some of these numbers so that the TTK is a little bit more firm, it's a little bit more stable, and so that players don't get one-shotted out of the blue. They have a little bit more time to read the situation and perhaps react to it by bracing or by using their health kits as well. So these are some of the high-level changes that are coming. Finally, the last thing that we're going to talk about is furniture, right? So on a slew of all these changes, the last thing we are looking at, strangely, well, not the last thing, there's a few more things inside, but one of the things we're looking at is actually furniture. And if you look at furniture, there are a few reduce cooldown of, increase your reload speed furniture, and some of these are starting to stack. So, and some of them have produced some interesting effects. So things like Plague Bringer's Sword, Worm's Breath Churner. There was one more. I can't remember what it was called. Well, it doesn't come to mind, but that's one more that we are starting to look at. We are going to start tuning some of these numbers down because we noticed that every single PvP match, players will have to bring this, and you have no choice but to bring this if you are if you're going to succeed at PvP, for instance. And then there's still other furniture like brace gun wheels. They were definitely designed for PvE. Right, it gives you a very strong resistance, and the moment you equip brace gun wheels and you plant your anchor, you can take a lot of damage. Right, it negates a lot of status effects. So these are all things that we're coming together to take a look at. Now, I think there's a concern about how making all these changes will affect PvE. So in the last couple of months, as we build up towards the release of PvE, we were investing in the tools. So the tools to give us visibility of what balance is going to look like, how much do we want to adjust by, how can we react to it quickly. And one of the tools that was the outcome of all of this was also to balance AI quickly in PvE. So quite glad to announce that when we start looking at the next patch, you guys will notice some PvE changes as well. This is us trying to make sure that we can balance quickly and react to some of these feedback a lot more quick. So this is the way we are trying to decouple, not decouple, but make sure it's unified, rather, the balance between PvP and PvE. Wow, I talked so much.
Yes, it's good.
I think I brought like 5 or 6 points across.
No, I think it's very good. I think I hope the community will appreciate the level of transparency, and again, I just want to put a big disclaimer that these are still things we're working on. So again, we don't know yet exactly when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen exactly the way you explained. Still things we are monitoring, testing, but the plan is to move as quickly as possible when it comes to balancing changes to try to make sure that we're not leaving PvP in particular in a state where specific loadouts and ships are overpowered for way too long.
Yep.
But yeah.
Alexi, I think I talked a little bit too much about certain changes. We've nerfed a bunch of things, right?
If you ask me, it's never too much information.
Yeah.
But
let's
that's
talk
why
a
it's
little bit
important.
about like buffs, right?
Yeah, of course.
Certain things that we tune down a few things, and then what we want to do is we want to tune up a few things as well. So certain weapons that are not very well used. Give you an example, demi cannons, sea fire. These are things that will also receive a slew of buffs as well. So what we're trying to do is that we're trying to make sure that players don't just bring the toxic long gun and don't just bring the repair spring loader. They have other options as well to bring. So one of the things that we're actually looking at is brick, right? Brick is quite down there in terms of the play numbers. Brick is like you can't really use it as a healer. You can't really use it as a DPS. You only have one orc. So we're starting to look at certain perks. We're looking at simple changes first, just to bring the value of some of these ships up. So we're looking at a bunch of ships. The Hulk is getting some changes. The small ships are getting some changes. We're looking at Sandbook, for instance. Wildfire is going to get some changes, one of the perks on the Sandbook. So these are some of the things we can look forward to. And we're going to... those changes are going to go out, and then we're going to observe the data. And then we're going to try to react to... not react, but we're going to try to plan around this, look at some of the data, and see what further changes need to be done. And Sam has come up with an awesome plan for how we're going to look at it. We're going to plan our releases.
Now, there's also a very interesting comment in the chat. Is basically, if you've played any competitive game, most of the time, the super hardcore players will always figure out what's the best build, the best weapon, the most optimized way to dominate, basically, and just use that. So we're very conscious about that. And that's why we have different ways to gather feedback, get early signals, look at the data, and try to react. What we're trying to do here is not necessarily to reach a point where every ship is equal and the balance is perfect, because we know that's basically impossible. But on the contrary, to try to do frequent balancing changes so that it's never always the same ships that are overpowered for way too long. So people will have to change their builds and change their loadouts frequently to remain competitive in Death Tides.
I think that's the idea. We know that, for competitive games and PvP in general, like, there will never be a perfect balance, right? Especially when we start introducing new ships, new weapons, new armor, new furniture. Things will go out of balance, and players will find, the S tier builds every meta, right? What we are trying to do here is give opportunities to a variety of builds to make all of them equally viable, and to try and reach that level of balance whereby players can bring whatever builds that they feel are good, and they can have a good enough win rate to enjoy playing that in PvP in their own playstyle as well. So playstyles is something that is a common theme for our year 2 in general, and we want to make sure that players can enjoy Skull and Bones the way they want to. So yes, I don't think we'll ever reach a point whereby we are perfectly balanced, but what we are trying to do is try and reach that point, right, to give variety.
Yes, absolutely. It's a work in progress for sure.
Yeah, it'll always be a work in progress. There'll always be a need for regular balancing, and that's something that we have also planned in for, and that's something that we are committed to.
Cool. How you managing playing PvP and answering questions at the same time, Sam?
Clearly, I'm dying to a lot of Garudas, and and when Ernest was sharing about the time to kill, I was like, yeah, I'm dying every 5 seconds. But it's also because I'm not really a PvP player per se, so I'm not the best player to to showcase this. Because I just bring my regular Brigantine build from PvE into Death Tides. I just enjoy playing the same setup that I have in PvP and PvE. So yeah, I lost the last game. Looks like we are not doing too well on this one as well. But
yes. Okay, I'm gonna give you a break. I'm gonna ask Ernest some more questions. So what can I ask you? Do we have plans to introduce the ability to create 6-person groups?
We are looking at this plan very seriously. Okay. How shall I address this? There's a lot of content that is going to be built around 6 players. We know Mythic Vikram, for instance, is built around 6 players, and it's not very fun to punk players in the wild, especially when they don't know what they're doing. So we're gonna we are reviewing some of the plans and some of the roadmap to adjust for space for this. Our year 2 plans has a lot of things going on inside, and we are trying to make sure that the resources are adjusted so that such a thing can be accommodated as well. Yep.
Cool. It was right timing because somebody asked this question just as we were talking about it. How are we intending to balance the large ships in PvP mode? That's a good question.
Ooh. How much can we review, Alexi?
So for those who are not aware, large ships are coming. I just wanted to say it.
Oh, hey. Large ships are coming in year 2 S2.
Yes.
The large
Fairly
ship
soon, actually.
Well, can I okay. In Star Wars there's the Death Star, and the Death Star has a little hole that you can shoot. All you have to do is just shoot one torpedo inside this exhaust pod and the whole Death Star explodes. A frigate is gonna be somewhat similar, right? It's gonna have upsides in terms of firepower, in terms of the amount of damage you can take, and then it's gonna have downsides in terms of speed, in terms of number of weak points on the ship, in terms of shooting angles. That's all I can say for now. I don't even think I was allowed to say the last one, but yes.
It's too late. It's live now.
I think
you can't get it back.
I think I can share something a bit more general, and for large ships in PvP. For year 2 season 2, because we are releasing the frigate, we did a test. We did a couple of tests, yeah. But we did a test specifically for large ships a couple of weeks back internally, and we made some adjustments to the maps, just very minor adjustments to the maps to make sure that the navigation, the turning, everything feels more comfortable to accommodate large ships as well. So you really don't have like 6 frigates trying to just block access to control points. But in general, it felt really great. It felt a bit different as well, large ships. So what I can say is that for PvP itself, what we tried was we had a team whereby we had all large ships, and we had a team with all Garudas. And then what we found out that actually the win rate is quite even, I would say. And it's just a different strategy, right? Large ships tend to be a bit bulkier, but they tend to have less navigation and a lower ability to maneuver around the tight spaces and being able to be reactive. Whereas the smaller ships and the medium ships tend to be able to zoom around.
I don't know, Sam, you remember that play session? The large ships couldn't get to the capture point.
Yeah.
And then all the snipers were outside the capture point and everybody was not at the capture point.
Yeah. So it was quite interesting because then, you have all those, actually, you have strategies whereby the smaller and medium ships can actually dominate the large ships. But if the large ships are played properly as well, they provide some greater utility and firepower in certain situations. So I would say that for large ships in PvP is been the feel is quite good, and maybe not pick all large ships because then you are just weak to the same strategy from other players as well. Yeah.
So I guess it's safe to say we're already very much looking into it, and we're aware it's going to be something we need to tackle as soon as possible.
Yep, it's something that we have tackled quite a few areas of concern, and we are still looking to tune some of the things before it releases with Year 2 Season 2.
Yes. And the next question, I don't think you both can know because you're very focused on the development of the game, but somebody's asking, when do we get to see gameplay for large ships? I don't actually have the exact date. I don't know when exactly, but you can assume that with Season 2 coming soon is going to be very soon as well. So, yeah. And I want to do another pitch for the Insider program. Maybe if you join the Insider program, you'll get a chance to test them earlier. Maybe. Who knows?
If you send more messages to Alexis on the chat asking for when can we see large ships, maybe he'll share something with you sooner than later.
I'm not that willing to lose my job yet. Okay, other questions. What can I ask? Is this season, Year 2 Season 1, going in overtime? And by that, I think people mean, are we going to extend the season the same way it happened with the Season 4 from Year 1, sorry.
Sam, finally spicy questions for you, Sam.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me answer this.
I waited for you to get into the game before.
My team is winning, so
So you can chill.
I can share a bit more. With Year 2 Season 1, we saw that the release was pushed back quite a bit, and Season 4 was actually extended, and to be transparent, extended like twice. I can't really remember, but where we want to put our focus on is the quality of the game, right? So we want to balance being able to push out content and features to players as soon as possible, right? Because that's what players want. That's what you guys want. But at the same time, we don't want to push out something that is clunky. We don't want to push out something that is janky. So where we position our releases centers around the fact, is it in a good enough quality for release? Even for Death Tides itself, we took the extra few months to make sure that it's in a good condition. It's also we have a lot more polish, knock out a lot more kings. The map looks much better. We have a variety of maps. So that's our philosophy going forward in Year 2. We want to focus a lot more on the quality and the quality of gameplay experience. So if that means a feature will come out later than sooner, we'll rather that happen so that players can enjoy the feature comfortably rather than trying to rush out something that maybe isn't of such a good quality, right? Then it doesn't really bring that much value to the game. So we'll continue building on the experiences and we'll continue building on the different playstyles, but we want to keep quality at the core before we rush out any releases. Yeah.
Cool. So fingers crossed, there won't be any delays and everything will be perfect.
Fingers crossed my team gets the last point as well.
Next question: what exactly do you mean by Megaforst in the roadmap? And if I can try to interpret the question, I believe from a community perspective, we technically already have Megaforts in the game. So are we adding a new one, changing the ones that are in the game? What's happening?
I think for Megaforts, I think the community would really know what Megaforts are because the Ustan grind is real. But when you look at forts versus Megaforts in our game now, there is a increase in difficulty, but there isn't really an increase in complexity or strategic depth, right? So what we are trying to explore with Megaforts in Year 2 Season 2 is bring a new dimension of gameplay and to make it even more challenging, but even more complex in terms of strategy as well. So we are trying to differentiate the Year 2 Season 2 Megafort with the current forts and Megaforts that you see in the game now. So you'll see more challenges and more variety of challenges. So that would be a new level of forts, I would say.
Yeah, I think I'll share a little bit here. For a whole year since we released Skull and Bones, the forts barely got any love. Right? And the Megafort is actually our way of going back to older pieces of content and saying, if we were to reinvent this, if we were to make this a little bit more interesting, what could we do? Now, there is a construction happening on a particular island in the Indian Ocean, and that will be our new Megafort. A brand new Megafort. And it's like the way we introduced Mythic. We actually wanted to increase the tier of difficulty. We want to give the players a new level of challenge that you have not seen in the Indian Ocean before. And so far we have fought lots of the Sea Lords. There's so many of them. There's Vikram, there's the Hubek twin, so that's technically 2 bosses there. I don't care who says what. And then there's Li Tianning, and then there's Vikram. So there's total of 4 Sea Lords, but there's the twin, so it's 5, right? We have not done anything with Megaforts. Not anything significant, at least. So this is our first attempt to go back, look at old tech, clean it up, do it nicely, rebalance a few things, see how we can change the pace. And it really is to inject new life, new challenge into the Indian Ocean. And all of this is against the backdrop of a looming war between the DMC and the company. So that Megafort is going to be hotly contested territory.
Cool, exciting. I'm super excited for the Megafort. So, before we jump into another question, I think some people might have joined in the middle of the stream, so might have missed some parts of what you said in before. And so there's a question that comes back a lot, and somebody said it in all caps just so I could see it. Scroll a bit. Are we going to address the outrageous damage done by Cell Ripper perk on the Garuda?
Cell Ripper.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about bugs. Okay. So Cell Ripper, it's a mod that's on the, I believe it's on a long gun, right? When you apply Sail Break, when you apply Sail Break, it does 4 to 6% damage. If I'm not wrong, that's what the description says. Pure damage, right? There was a bug when Item Ascension was released. It took us a little bit of time to get to because of the live development of the game. We observed that same 4 to 6% damage could be applied multiple times, right? And so we have fixed that. We sent that out in the patch, I think earlier last week. So we fixed that quite a while ago, but the patch only came out a short while ago. And actually, there are more things we need to fix in that area. So I do want to say that there are bugs, there are issues that we need to look at. And I think the Garuda is particularly efficient at applying this Sail Break effect. So the Garuda, Dead Eye, allows the Garuda to sit there. And from a further distance, it can deal up to 80% more damage. Right? And that 80% damage actually stacks with Sail Ripper. That's one of the reasons why the damage from Sail Ripper is so explosive now. We're going to look at rebalancing some of the Garuda perks because we think Dead Eye is a little bit overtuned. And we're also going to relook a little bit at how Sail Ripper is being applied together with Dead Eye. That's something that we're going to look at very soon.
So the short answer is yes. We are looking at all the things that are creating a lot of frustration for people right now and they're complaining about. But what we said at the beginning of the stream is that there's going to be a significant balancing patch coming very soon, and hopefully we'll address a lot of these concerns.
So Sail Ripper stacking together with Deadeye Perk, immediate concern.
So I hope that's the answer you were all looking for in the chat. There's a topic we haven't talked about much when it comes to Death Tides is the maps. I don't know who's the most comfortable talking about maps. I have a quick video I can show to just showcase how beautiful the maps, because I think the maps are particularly stunning. But maybe we can talk about it a bit more. Are we planning to add more maps in the future or changing the current maps? Do we know anything about that?
I think for the current maps, we are trying to see how it plays out first. There's a good variety for different maps, and I think we are also looking into developing new maps in the future, right? But it all depends on making sure that they're well polished, they look nice, they play well, and there's strategic elements into the different parts of the map. So first off, rather than developing new maps, we are trying to make sure that the win rates on both teams for the existing maps are well tuned. So there might be some slight imbalance here and there. We are trying to make sure that these maps are well balanced first, in terms of even placements of different things like power-ups and all that, before we move on to developing new maps. We also want to place our focus a bit more on balancing and fine-tuning the experience first before we deliver more and more content for Death Tides.
Cool. So yeah, same thing. Tell us what you think about the maps that are currently in the game. Which one's your favorite? What do you like about it? Anything you'd like us to change or improve or take into consideration for future maps? I think it's very interesting for us to see how players basically take advantage of the maps and the different landscapes and rock formations. And yeah, it's very interesting for us to see what are the maps that people love the most. But yeah, let us know what you think. So I gave you a hard one, Sam. Sorry. But I'm going to give you an easy one to make up for it. So there was a question. So to be fair, the question was asked last week because we were supposed to have the stream last week. So a bit of things have happened since. But are we going to fix the hostility docking issues?
So great question. It's actually been fixed with yesterday's patch. And when I was playing yesterday, after the patch, I was so thankful for the fix as well, because now I can finally dock when I'm like farming my pieces of 8, collecting my pieces of 8, and I have rogues chasing me. I just have to wait 10 seconds near an outpost, and then I can just dock already. So I think this is something that players have been asking for, like hostility changes in general. There's more that's coming down the pipe in terms of hostility, and you see it play quite a big role next season as well. But what we wanted to push to players first was just address this frustration of not being able to dock. And so I hope the players enjoy it quite a lot.
Actually me and Sam had quite a lot of discussions on this one. We literally had to take one guy, he's a very good guy, away from another topic that was being actively developed and tell him, hey, there's this thing that we really want to address. We believe the community wants this fixed. And then we sat him down, we explained, okay, we like it to work, like, like exactly like how you do it for Helm Wager, for instance. And then we'll say, okay, sorry, we have to put this other feature on hold. We're going to focus on this one first because we think players really want it. And we think you guys will really appreciate that fact. And so he worked really, really long and really, really hard. And then it's finally out. Quick shout out to you, Solomon. Thank you for putting your neck out for us.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, he was about to go on leave as well.
Yeah.
So we're like, no,
he's in the jungle somewhere now, right?
Yeah. we need this to come out as soon as possible to players, and then we talk about getting it implemented. Ernest really pushed for it. and on my side was like looking at when we can release that as soon as possible to players. So I think the community voice is really important, and that's something that we have repeatedly said that we are committed to the community voice. And so if there are any things that are less than ideal, do share them with us, and we'll try and get those improvements to you as soon as possible. Even if that means like moving somebody out, clearing everything that he's working on to address this high priority issue.
Yeah,
So-
I think I think it's a very good point to make as well. Is that we've been saying a lot that we read feedback, we listen to community and what they want. I think it's important for everybody to understand that we have a long list of what we hear and what we read of what the community wants, and then we always kind of have to jungle between, okay, what is the top priority item? I think the docking issue, and it's something that we've heard in the past, right? It's not something completely new, but we basically believe that it was not necessarily a top priority item until Year 2 Season 1 launch, right? I think some of the changes we made in the game has made this more of a pressing issue, and that's why the priority was adjusted, and we pushed this to happen sooner, basically.
Yep, Solomon is man,
So yeah,
as somebody said in the chat.
And
Yeah.
I think not to just trivialize the issue or like there's this source of frustration, we immediately fix it. Sure, we move the resources from one place to another for priority's sake. But then there's also a long chain of other events that needs to happen. Certain things like release management. There's a whole bunch of people involved in making sure that all of this is okay. It's fine, right? There's a lot of testing that needs to go into it to just make sure that it works. It didn't create an edge case. So having been on the development on this topic for a while, I know for sure that previously when players, for example, were part of a goal chain, they entered the outpost and they docked immediately, the goal chain will disband. It will leave the map and become immune. So these were things that we had to test. These are things that we had to to give a little bit of consideration about as well. And I don't think all the issues have been fixed. We introduced this small change, but actually there are a few more bugs from this issue that we still have to try to address. And this is what game development is. Whenever we create a feature, we think it's sexy, we think it's awesome, and then there's 4 edge cases, 5 bugs, and things that we actually need to come back to adjust, to test, to make sure that it's all working. And sometimes we don't catch all of them, even though we try our best.
So I think that is the same with the balance changes that are coming up pretty soon as well. We could potentially just make all these changes and just push it out as soon as possible, right? But we also want to consider what's the impact of players with this change. How would it change their builds? What would be the next best build, as some people mentioned in the chat? And also, not just in PvP, but how does that impact PvE and the difficulty? Especially, there were also some comments in the chat regarding World Tier 2 difficulty as well. So there are so many variables in consideration. So rather than rushing something out really quick, we want to make sure that whatever we're releasing does actually address the issue, and we have different ways internally to kind of verify that as well.
there is a very good request that I think we should probably consider putting on top of the priority list from the chat. I don't know if you noticed, but it is true that there's a very, very clear lack of long beards in the game.
Is that so?
Yes. So I don't know how we want to tackle this, but I think we should have a discussion about it.
I'll share it with the asset team.
Yes.
See what they think about it.
I think we can do that.
The last time feedback was given from our community that I think somewhere in the middle of year 1 that they wanted more realistic cosmetics. We made that happen with season 4 as well as year 2.
Yep.
So now you're seeing that shift. So even on the cosmetic side, if it's not gameplay related, if it's how to personalize your character, we take that feedback as well.
I have a point that I want to share here for everyone. Have you considered that hair, especially hair with physics, is very expensive to put in game? Okay, I'll just put it out there for everyone to think about. if you notice, a lot of games that have a lot of characters on screen, they usually don't have hair. They're bald or they're wearing a hat. Yeah, that's one of the limitations.
But
So
I'm pretty sure I've seen some planned cosmetic sets, vanity sets that include beards moving forward. So I don't know
Yep.
when they're coming, but I think we need to follow up on this.
there's a little bit more work that needs to go into making hair work. It's not that we can't have it. There's a little bit more work. I'll share a funny story. There was a point in time in this game where John Scurlock, with his luscious locks, went
The
bald.
John Scurlock incident.
Yeah, he went bald because there was a performance hit on the cutscene. And they were like, how are we going to fix this? And we just removed his hair. And
It's not just-
it
it's
doesn't work.
It's
Put
not
it back.
not just a performance hit. Actually, it was like causing like huge instability, crashes randomly here and there. And what the dev team found was that, well, if we remove the beard for some reason, it would solve the issue. So it got removed for a while and it got added back again.
John Scurlock just did not feel like John Scurlock without the hair and the beard. Yeah.
But I will follow up on beards, I promise. I can't promise I can make it happen, but I will ask. Okay, what other questions do we have? I don't know if I want to ask a tricky question or an easy one.
I mean, it's just up to you. We'll just be the receiving end of whatever you throw at us.
All right. So when can we expect a map expansion?
When
Is
can
that
we
on the
expect a
roadmap?
map?
You know when we announced that large ships were coming, I knew that was going to be the next topic. So I expect the map expansion to be a recurring topic until we announce it.
Okay, maybe let me try to answer this one. We understand that one of the biggest things that you guys are looking for in the Indian Ocean is exploration. Okay, we have tried. So one of the ways we have tackled this is by opening up, new maps, entirely new maps. This is like the PvP maps, Mokiti 4, Sunken Ruins. These are new places to explore, but albeit a PvP setting. I think I want to acknowledge the call for more PvE exploration on maps. Now, this is a tricky one. Right now, it is not on our roadmap. Okay, this is a long-term thing that we will have to look at. Opening up a new map is not a simple thing. There's a lot of production, a lot of people that need to be moved to make sure that this happens. I know it sounds easy, but there's voice recording, there's new characters to write, there's new contracts to make, there's new AI to create, and that's the whole beauty of exploration, right? You go there, you find out new characters, new outposts, new dens, new Hell Empire to explore, and the reality is that this is a huge change, and this is a huge expansion that we will need to explore as a team. Right now, there hasn't been anything announced, and what you see in year 2 is what we are ready to show to you guys. That's what I can say for now.
Cool. I expect the question to come back again on the next stream, so we can rehearse that one.
Well, in the past few decks, the questions, like one of the top questions was, when are we going to get large ships? When are we going to get large ships?
Oh man, I was dreaming. I wanted to answer it. We knew, but we couldn't answer it. We were like, should we see it? No, we'll get scolded. Let's not say it.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that. Like, like just because it's not on our year 2 roadmap that we are not considering it. We have so many things that we are considering. What is the best thing that we can bring value to players as soon as possible and with the best quality possible? We can try and do a map expansion and invest the resources and all that. But if it's not well polished, if it's not well developed, then that's something that won't really add much value, right? So we want to provide the highest ROI for players and to keep players enjoying Skull and Bones.
Absolutely. So we are approaching the end of this live stream. Do we want to do a quick recap of the main messages that we want to pass on to the community and for everybody to remember after this stream ends?
Oh, okay.
This is a test. Do you remember everything you said?
So, we're very glad that you guys get to play Skull and Bones Death Tides. It is the beta launch of PvP, We know you guys have been asking for it for a long time. There's still a lot of things we need to do to make it work in the way that you want it to work. So there's a lot of optimizations. There's a lot of balancing things that we need to do. And we'd like you guys to join our social media, join our Reddit, join Heinz in Skull and Bones DE and put your builds there. Share it with us. We invite you to share your opinions, your feedback, and your constructive critiques about where do you think this should go. Share it in our social media, and we'll use this to influence the balance and the outcome and the future of PvP. There's still a lot more work to do. There's more rewards to bring together, but we hope that you have enjoyed it so far, and we are asking for you guys to share more feedback, share more with us. And the team has worked really, really hard to give you guys PvP death tides. And there's a lot more things that we can offer, but we want to know what the community thinks so far.
Yeah.
Cool.
On the dev side, we are always looking on Reddit, Discord. Discord, there's this section for open feedback. We do take a look at those. Alexis and team takes a look at those as well, forwards them to us. We prioritize and try and bring as much as we can to players while also delivering on the year 2 roadmap. So it's a delicate balance because we want to make sure that features are delivered on time and with good quality, but we also want to answer the community for like quality of life improvements, things that we didn't initially plan, but we also want to make sure we deliver on those. So the best way is to give constructive feedback. As always, if you have bugs, send them through the bug reporter. We'll look through them. But more than anything, I think the key message here is that we want to continue building Skull and Bones and year 2 with you. And so we'll try to respond to all the different issues as much as we possibly can. And we'll continue doing our best to deliver on what you guys want.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Last few words from me. Like we said at the beginning, we are, and like Ernest and Sam said as well, we are actively monitoring your feedback. There's more changes coming to Death Tides, and there's a lot of great stuff coming to the rest of the game with Year 2 Season 2 very soon. We can't wait to show you everything. I think you're going to be very excited. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for enjoying the game. Thank you for playing Death Tides. Thank you for sharing feedback. Stay awesome, and we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
You.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.